Hey, welcome back. This is AP 101, Crash Course in Piano, Lesson 4. Today we're going to be focusing and learning the key of F, the chords therein. It's actually going to be really simple because we've already learned the key of C, and you should be completely fluent in the chords in that key by now, or getting there. It's going to be very simple because it uses almost all of the same chords in the key of F. We only have two new chords, as you're going to see. We're going to have B flat, major chord, and then G minor chord. And those are going to be really your only two new chords in this key. So you're already almost most of the way there. First of all, we'll look at the B flat major chord. It's very simply going to be, we'll just figure it out, as you should know how to figure out all major chords by now. B flat, okay, you're going to skip three notes, so go up 1, 2, 3, 4 to D, then skip two notes, go up to F. So once again, skip three notes, skip two notes, B flat major chord, B flat, D, F, as you can see on the keyboard below. The next one, G minor chord. Very simple once again, just the opposite of the major chord is going to be the note G. Skip 2 to go to B flat, skip 3 notes to go to D, and that works for any minor chord. So G, B flat, D, G minor chord. Fantastic. Okay, let's go ahead and get started on the exercise songs in this key. Also, real quickly before we do that, the F major scale is just simply the notes F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. One more time. F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. The fingering you want to use, very simple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we're going back down. 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. And of course, the same concept works here as if we give each one of these notes in the major scale a number. F is going to be the 1, B flat would be the 4, C would be the 5. So your three major chords in this key will be F, your 1 chord, B flat, which is your 4 chord, and C, which is your 5 chord. Okay, let's go ahead and play exercise song number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ended on an F. There we go. Okay. If you look at song number 2, it goes 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 4 chord, and then just repeats over again. So your 1 chord, F, 4 chord, B flat, 5 chord, C, 4 chord, B flat. Same thing, next line. Okay, so pretty easy so far. You already knew the F and the C major chord, so it was probably pretty simple there for you. Your next song is going to be song number 3 on that page if you have your curriculum or your lesson there in front of you. And as you can see, you have D minor, G minor, and A minor. D minor here, these are your 3 minor chords in the key of F. D minor, we already know that's going to be your 6th chord now in the key of F, the 6th note of the scale. G minor is going to be your 2 chord, the 2nd note of the scale. And of course that's a minor as well. A minor is going to be your 3 chord, the 3rd note of the scale. Okay, let's go ahead and play this song. And song number 4, if we add them all together, 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 6 chord, 2 chord, 5 chord, 1 chord. And then your 4/5 chord, it's going to be B flat in your right hand, C in your left hand. Okay, 4/5 chord, B flat in the right hand, C in the left hand for the key of F. Okay, let's play it. simple there. So we should have that down pat here in just a few minutes of practice there. I already know most of those chords, so I know it's going to be a little bit new here, a new key, a new major scale. So it's going to take a little bit of practice. But practice that major scale, practice those 4 exercise songs. And now just to solidify things a little bit, let's go on and go ahead and do the Write Your Own song page. Hey, welcome back. Okay, let's get into the Write Your Own songs page. The first one we're going to be starting off with deals with simply the 1, the 4, and the 5 chords in the key of F, which are, as you've learned by now, F major chord, B flat major chord, and C major chord. Okay, so we can basically put this in any order we want to, and notice, of course, we're going to end on an F because we're in the key of F. That's just the custom. We typically end our songs on whatever key you're in. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started in this song. The order I'm going to do, of course you can do any order. The order I'm going to do is B flat, C, B flat, F. Okay, and I keep the second line the same just so the song has a consistency. It sounds like a song. You're following a pattern. I want to do B flat, C, B flat, F. Okay, let's go ahead and do it. You can do any order you want. You can also put some rhythm to it if you want to have a little bit of fun. Maybe speed it up a little bit. Okay, so a lot of cool things you can do with music. That's the great thing about music. You can kind of do what you want to with it. You can kind of write your own songs. And this is basically what most professional musicians do, songwriters do. They'll take a particular progression of chords and they'll mix it up. They'll make a pattern that they like. They'll find a way of laying out the chords like they like it, and then they'll actually just go ahead and put words in it, and there you've got the next hit. I mean, it's really easy to do. Just take the chords, put them in a pattern that you like the sound of it, and then put words to it, and you've got a song. Okay, let's go ahead and go to song number 2. You notice the first song is a little simpler. You're just using 1, 4, 5 chords. Most of your very simple, like Southern gospel or country type songs, just use these basic chords. But more of the contemporary songs will use, like say, the 6th chord, as we will in song number 2. Okay, so song number 2, we're going to use F, B flat, C, and D minor. So same thing, 1, 4, 5. But we're adding the option of also throwing in a 6th chord here, and you'll hear that it gives a little bit more of a different sound to it, a little more of a contemporary sound, perhaps. Okay, so the order I'm going to do is B flat, C, D minor, F, B flat, C, D minor, F. Okay, let's do it. Okay, once again, if you want to have some fun with it, add some rhythm to it. Really a lot of stuff you can do there. You could, if you wanted to do them 4 beats instead of just the 2, you could do that. Different ways you can play it, a lot of different progressions, different orders you could make up. And you don't have to start on your 1 chord. Once again, you can start on your 4 chord, your 5 chord, your 6 chord, whatever you want to do, or even your 1 chord. You could start on that if you wanted to, but be sure to end it on that 1 chord when you're playing with these, typically with the major chords. Now you notice the next song we're actually going to end on the 6th chord, and that's because we're almost playing it like it's in a minor key. So these 3 chords in song number 3 are going to just be your 3 minor chords in the key of F, your 2 chord, your 3 chord, and your 6 chord, G minor, A minor, and D minor. And the order I'm going to use will be, we'll use A minor, G minor, A minor, and then D minor again. Okay. And you'll notice, of course, this has a much more kind of almost a morbid sound to it, just a sadder sound to it. The minor chords and the minor songs that are in a minor key typically have that kind of sound. And we'll explain why we could end on the 6th chord later. It'll all make sense when we go into future lessons of how minor chords and minor keys work. Okay, great. So we've got the write your own songs down. Hopefully you can take a minute here and just make up your own. And don't do what I did, but just take it, make up your own, use your own progression, your own pattern, and see what you could come up with. And we're going to go ahead and go on to Anointing and Surround Me now in the key of F. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and get into Anointing and Surround Me in the key of F. And some of you may be wondering why we're learning the same songs, but just in a different key. Let me take just a minute, and explain that. It's very important not to just learn a particular song in just one key. And kind of the reason we're doing this is so that you can understand why and how keys work. In other words, when we go into Anointing and we're using the 3 chord, 6 chord, 2 chord, 5 chord progression, as you see in your lesson or curriculum, you can see that the song, even though it's in a different key, the Roman numerals are staying the exact same. And therefore the song has the exact same sound, even though your chords are completely different. The progression in the key of C is E minor, A minor, D minor, G. In the key of F, it's A minor, D minor, G minor, C. It's a completely different set of chords, but yet what I want you to do is begin to think, begin to realize and understand how the Roman numerals work and how that system works, because that's really the key and the fundamental basis for playing music, especially in church, Pentecostal background, or whatever you might be using it for, jazz. There's a lot of different avenues that this Roman numeral system is useful in, but especially to playing by ear and understanding how the 1 chord works, the 4 chord, the 5 chord works. If you can learn that system, you can pretty much play any style, and what's even better about that is you can take a song and you can play it in many different keys. I have a lot of different singers that I work with at our church, and many of them, they all have different vocal ranges. And for instance, we all take turns singing at altar call. And what's interesting is that because they have those different vocal ranges, many times I have to play the same song but in a different key. Well, of course, I have to transpose that on the fly in my head. And the reason I'm able to do that is because of the Roman numeral system. I understand I don't have to memorize the song Anointing in each key and memorize the progression of it in each key. But instead, all I have to do is know how which numbers, what the Roman numeral progression basically is. For instance, 3 chord, 6 chord, 2 chord, 5 chord. And because I know the numbers of each scale in each key, I'm able to play that song in whatever key I want to. So that's one reason it's really important to learn songs in different keys, of course as a beginner, so you can understand how the system works, but also for future reference so that you can begin to think how keys are transposed and how you can move songs to different keys. Because remember, believe me, the time is going to come when that special is going to need to be transposed down a key, and maybe you're on an old-fashioned piano and you can't just transpose it on like you could on a new electrical piano, or maybe you don't know how to modulate it because you're playing at a different church or something. Maybe you're playing the organ, which really is not an easy instrument to transpose on the fly. Okay, so great. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Let's go ahead and run over. We'll start with Surround Me for now, and then we'll go over Anointing and what the progression is in the key of F for the Roman numeral system there. Okay, so let's go ahead and run over Surround Me, O Lord. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Surround Me, O Lord, in the key of F. And if you'll notice, it's using the same exact progression as we did in the key of C, even though it's different, totally different chords. For instance, in the key of C, we did C, E minor, F, G. In other words, 1 chord, minor 3 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 1, 3, 4, 5. The key of F, we're doing the same thing. F is your 1, A is your 3, B flat's your 4, C is your 5. 1, 3, 4, 5. So you can kind of see how, hopefully this is starting to kind of make sense how music works and how this works. Let's go over anointing also very quickly. And of course, you can listen to the tracks provided on your audio CD or on the song that was emailed to you. And it has the full band, the drums, the bass, the piano, and everything there. A lot of them have saxophone strings. You can hear how the melody goes. And that'll really give you, I really would urge you to practice with it because it'll give you the real in-church feeling of practicing with a full band. Let's run over also the song Anointing here. So we're going to start with your 3-chord A minor, 6-chord D minor, 2-chord G minor, and 5-chord C. Of course, your 1-chord is F, your 4-chord is B flat, and your 2-chord is G minor, and the rest of it should be pretty easy. 4 or 5-chord, remember that's B flat in your right hand, C in your left hand. Okay, let's go ahead and play it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good job. Hopefully you're starting to kind of get the hang of this. Remember, of course, we're playing accompaniment style here. The melody is not really just blaring loud. That's why I would urge you to practice with the CD so you can catch kind of what the melody sounds like. You can hear how it all fits together. As we get to learning more chords, playing more, especially getting into the sevenths, which carries the melody a lot of times, you'll really begin to understand how the melody works, and we'll really start trying to add that in a little bit more as time goes on. As far as using the right inversion to play the right note there. So you can kind of see how the melody right there is just very outstanding, but a lot of that is due to the fact that we're using different inversions and a little bit of sevenths and some different chords there. So as time goes on, you begin to learn more chords, you get more proficient, more knowledgeable in what chords to play where, the melody will come. So if you don't get discouraged if it doesn't necessarily sound exactly like you imagine anointing or surrounding the Lord sounding like. Okay, so fantastic. Hopefully you're understanding that pretty well. Let's go ahead and learn about what a broken chord fill is. All right, let's go ahead and go over the broken chord fill, what that is, and how we can use it to make our songs sound a lot better. This is, I think, our first fill that we're going to learn. Instead of just playing just the regular chord, we're actually going to learn how to put a little bit of a fill in to songs here. So a broken chord fill, basically what we do is we just take a chord. Of course, you have your 3 basic notes, 1, 3, 5. For instance, so C major chord, C, E, G. And we actually break that chord up while we're playing. And there's 2 different ways we can do this. We can do it either by going up, ascending, or we can use it by going down, descending. Okay, so the very first one, for instance, if we're playing in the key of C, just on a C major chord, is done like that. And we typically do it on the 4th beat. You could, or on the last beat, you could do it on, if you're playing just two notes like in Surround Me. And all we're doing is just playing it single note at a time, and then holding down the rest of the chord as we play it. And you can do that ascending, or in other words going up, or you can do it going down like this. Or you can even mix it up a little bit. Of course, course, be careful not to overuse it. Just like any fill, if you do it the entire song, it's going to sound a little bit silly. But using it maybe every other chord, every line, or just every so often, just kind of throwing it in to break up just the normal sound of it will definitely make be a big step in sounding a little bit different there. And of course, as you get better, you'll learn more and more fills. And as we get down the road, as you become a more proficient musician, then there's going to be hundreds of different fills that you know. This is just one of many, and there's many different variations of this. I mean, you could do all kinds of stuff. You kind of just have to be a little bit creative, make up your own fill. But for the most part, it's just done by going either up or by going down. And usually, just a keynote here, a little hint, it usually sounds better if you hold down the sustain pedal while you're doing it. If you don't have a sustain pedal, just try to make sure you hold down each one of those notes when you play it. But it's definitely a lot easier when you have a sustain pedal behind you to back it up on that. Okay, so let's go ahead and play exercise song 1 in C using the broken chord fill. And I just use a couple of parentheses around the slash to show you where you're supposed to play the fill. But we're basically doing it on the last beat of each chord before we go to the next one. Okay, let's go ahead and play exercise song 1 in C using the broken chord fill. Okay, so hopefully you've got it there. Take that, practice it. There's definitely a lot of ways you can do this. I would also go back and play Surround Me, O Lord using this and have a lot of fun with it. I mean, it's just something you can use. There's going to be more fills down the road that we'll learn, so there's all kind of different ways that we can do it. One quick thing I did want to play Surround Me, O Lord for you. One time we've been looking at, in the lesson before this, we looked at different inversions in the key of C. I'm going to go ahead and play Surround Me, O Lord for you in the key of C using some different inversions here. And of course, I'm not expecting you to know how to play like that already, but that's just kind of easy way to show you how just a couple of simple inversions just put in different places can make a song sound so much better. That's why it's really important to learn those inversions, to look at them, to study them, and to memorize them. And of course, I was adding a couple of little extra things there too. I was throwing in a couple little fill notes. If you watch the video and watch it over and over again, you can probably figure out what I'm doing and add that to your repertoire there. I did slip and throw a little 7th chord in there in one spot on accident. So if you see that, I guess you could play it, memorize it, maybe a little glimpse in the future. You also notice I'm using a little bit different rhythm there. One thing that I do a lot is I play the top note of the chord before I actually hit the chord. So that's another little fill you can use. I was throwing a little bit different rhythm there sometimes. So just take it. You might not be able to just memorize everything here. I'm not expecting you to. The main part of this lesson is to study the key of F and to look at that. But I want you not to forget the inversions, to remember to study those in the playing because they're really important to know. They make a big difference in making your sounds sound a lot better when you're playing your songs, playing with the chords. Even though you're just using plain major and minor chords here, we haven't got into anything fancy. Those inversions can really, really dress up a song. So take what we've learned in this lesson, have some fun with it, and email me or feel free to call me if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.